Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Guys, FOMO season is here. You know, what prompted me to make this video? Well, I went shopping for video games today. I was at GameStop, and I heard one of the most mind-blowing things that I have ever heard, right? So these two gentlemen were in the store. I want to say they were in, early 30s, mid 30s, maybe both of them. One of them was shopping, and the other one was not. I guess he was just accompanying him. And then the one was buying PlayStation 5 games. And he was telling him how, much superior the PS5 was, how much it came along. I was, I was buying PS4 games, so they were like right beside me. So I'm just, just, I'm exposed to this conversation whether I want to or not. And the one guy says, well, you got to experience this, you got to have it. And the guy's like, I just don't have enough money. Do they still take trade-ins? And he's like, well, what do you have? And he says, I have a PlayStation 2 with a bunch of games, and I have a Nintendo 64, right? And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, in my own experience, having the PlayStation 5, having the new Xboxes, having the Nintendo Switch, having, all the retro games that I have, right? These modern consoles, how much do they add to my experience? Not much. Other than a couple of games that I'm playing current generation, say like Death Stranding, I really could play that on PS4, I guess, right? I could have up to the seventh generation and below and still have a great game experience. Holy crap. I mean, how many retro gamers out there, if you told them you can have the PlayStation 2 and a full library, how many people would be unhappy at that choice? Be happy with what you have. You don't necessarily have to have the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, or the Nintendo Switch. Whatever you have, you can enjoy. This is a time of season where a lot of people get depressed. And I make these videos during this time of season, guys, because I've been there. I've been the person who hasn't had the money. I've been, the person who didn't have the funds or it just was in a point in my life where I couldn't or I shouldn't, more than anything, buy things because I had other responsibilities. And maybe this guy, he hasn't played video games for a long time. He's not going to go out there and spend, $500 on a console plus another $70 for whatever this guy's wants him to buy when he's got two perfectly good systems there that he could buy great games for. I mean, think of the PlayStation 2. How many great games are there, right? I mean, how much fun can you have with a Nintendo 64? Just playing Mario or GoldenEye or the old FIFA. Oh my gosh, there's great games in that console. And, if we go back to those times, whether it's a PlayStation 2, the Dreamcast, your Game Boy, it doesn't matter. Those are some of the best times that you've ever had. And it's diminishing returns. Let me tell you, as a person who owns thousands of games, is it the same now when I buy a game now than when I did, back in the 90s where I had less than 100 games and I would buy one? Every game would be meaningful. It's not as much now. We are in the golden age of gaming. I mean, there is no denying that. And I'm telling you that. I tell you that all the time. But with that said, how much do the modern consoles add to the gaming experience if you're really a retro gamer at heart? Not much. They really don't add much. You're not missing a lot. If you can't buy the PlayStation 5 right now, for whatever reason, it's not going to diminish your enjoyment of video games. You can buy whatever you buy. If you have a Game Boy, for crying out loud, just a regular Game Boy, there's so many games out there that you could buy. If you have a Nintendo DS, oh my Lord, there's a full library of games that you could play out there that probably you would you probably die, depending how old you are, and not finish every game on the list. And the same thing with the other consoles. If you ask me right now, If you ask me right now, would I trade in my PlayStation 5 and the tons of games that I have for the PlayStation 5? Would I trade it in for a full set of TurboGrafx 64? Hands down, the answer would be yes. Would I trade, both my PlayStation, my Xbox, or by taking the Nintendo in there and the Nintendo Switch, all three of them, for a complete collection of the Saturn? It'd be a tough one, but I had to say yes because I could always go back to the modern consoles. Those times are never going to come back. That's the only way you can recapture time if you are a retro gamer. So look at what you have. Be thankful for what you have. And if you don't have the means to get into modern gaming, you can stick with what you have now. Let me tell you guys, when I'm playing my PSP, I have more fun on my PSP most of the time than I do on my Nintendo Switch. Right? I just go back to those games that have been part of my life in the Nintendo Switch. It's nice to have the retro games there, but it's just a matter of enjoyment. I can tell you I have more enjoyment out of my retro consoles than I do from the modern consoles that I own, hands down. If the internet went down tomorrow, and there would be no internet, which would render all my modern consoles useless pretty much, I would be okay. I would be more than okay. Because I would have all the consoles that don't need the internet. I would have all this physical media, and I would have a great time. And the same thing for you. Think of it that way. Whatever console that you're in, whatever games you have, ride with that. If you can't afford modern games, if you're not into modern gaming for whatever reason, hey, you can still be a gamer. There's plenty of games to buy. There's plenty of places to buy them now. So many retro stores. So many conventions. I mean, that could be part of it. For me, this is probably the last generation. I don't know how I'm going to go moving forward. I don't have any more room to put any more stuff, really, with the responsibilities of, my new family and stuff. I'm not going to be able to roll that way, so I'm probably going to look back. But, the pressure that some gamers feel to buy the latest and greatest things, especially during this time of year, it's FOMO time. It really is. And people can tell you stories and how much they regret exchanging games so they can buy the newest, latest, greatest thing back in the day. And because of that, they let go of some of their most treasured things. The best things, the best times are behind us, but you can relive them again. And you don't necessarily have to buy new hardware. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.